And away we go. How is everyone tonight? The Egg and the Eye.
The Egg and the Eye. One of my favorite chapters in the whole series.
I mean, yeah, it's pretty great.
Not,
Come on, Snape
not
and
for the
his
first
90.
part, but for this.
Ew.
I'm just kidding.
I think that's a little bit more disturbing than the first part. You're referring to Moaning Myrtle sneaking up to Barty in the back.
I have a sticky note in here that just says perv.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, this isn't the first time it's happened, I'm sure. Hey, Dan. Hey, Katie. Anna. Sinchen.
Yes, creepy Myrtle being very creepy.
Fingers crossed your internet holds up too, Dan.
When I read through this before we started, I was reading it and I was just reading Myrtle's bits and I was like, oh my God, she's so just... Oh, she's been a teenager for too long. It's terrible. Because she's so creepy.
It kind of is when you think about it. Just imagine being a teenager for forever.
Right? You couldn't even, like, date any of the other ghosts. Like...
Not even that. Just constant hormonal shifts.
I know. It's a struggle.
Now that we're actually talking about it, I'm like, wow, Rowling really thought this character through and how probably one of the worst ghosts to be.
Yeah.
Despite, having to deal with her is probably even worse, but,
Hence why this is a book series all about death.
Yeah, the ghost state is really sad. But I mean, Headless Nick makes it seem like it's alright.
Yeah,
he's having a good time with it.
But he's not really, because the whole Headless Hunt thing in book 2.
Well, yeah, I mean, he just wishes that, it would have gone all the way through.
Right, but then in book 5, when Harry is like, Sirius would come back, right? Blah, blah, blah. And, like, Nick explains it to him, and how, like, sad a ghost existence is. It's almost as if Nick regrets being a ghost, because it's
100%.
So, like, sad being a ghost.
Mm-hmm.
Hi, Melanie.
You gotta let go and go to the afterlife.
Right. That's the whole point. I think the ghosts are just...
Myrtle is as bad as Edward. Are we talking about, like, Edward from Twilight?
Yeah, they're talking about Edward from Twilight.
Oh, okay. Oh, yeah, because he goes to high school, even though he's, like, 500 years old?
Yeah, he's a few hundred years old or something, yeah.
Okay. I never really thought about it, but yeah. I see your point there. That is really, really weird.
Right. All the ghosts are, like, hung up on something they just can't get over. Which is why they stay. Which I think is very clearly demonstrated with Myrtle, with Nick, and then very much later in book 7, we finally get the information from the Grey Lady, and via the Grey Lady we get the information about the Bloody Baron. And
actually, Professor Bin seems like he's doing all right.
Yeah, but even he can't let go. Because, like, he died, he didn't even know he died.
There were still students to be taught.
He can't let that go. Can you imagine?
But I'm just saying, out of everyone there, I mean, I feel like he couldn't let it go because it's something he loved to do. So in a sense...
Right, but he sucks as a teacher.
Well, yeah. I never said he was good at it, but he enjoys it. So at least he's spending his time.
No one else enjoys it, though. I'm like...
Well, a cup of coffee is always good, but don't stay up on our behalf. You gotta get some sleep. Get some sleep.
Right? And Katie, just so you know, I have also been self-medicating a little bit. So I was going to say that to you privately, but we started to stream. So I'll just let you know. Right? Did anyone ever bother to tell him, like, dude, you're a ghost? Maybe he doesn't even know.
Yeah, that would be great.
Like maybe he has no idea.
Someone one day just asked him, like, what's it like being a ghost? How would I know?
Right? I need to share. A friend maybe read a fan fiction about Sirius writing fan fiction about Lily and James. I had tears from laughing. Wow.
Oh my god.
Wow.
Send it to us. Let us know.
Right? Send it to us. We'll
So it's a fan
we'll
fiction about Sirius writing a fan fiction? Fanficception.
Sounds like it. I mean, I'm down to read it. We'll read it.
Now we need to write a fanfic
Katie
about
literally just said it.
Yeah.
You're a ghost, Professor Binns. So we decided to read The Egg in the Eye today. We did have one suggestion, at least when I last checked the comments. So maybe there's another suggestion in there that I haven't seen. But we did have one suggestion to read chapter 20 from Order of the Phoenix, which is Hagrid's tale, like when Hagrid finally comes back and he's got like the dragon stake on his head and like all that.
The green stake.
The green stake.
Ugh.
And I was like, okay, maybe. And then I was like, maybe we should read one of my favorite chapters of all time. And I was like thinking about it. I was like, let's read The Egg in the Eye. Because I have talked about that chapter multiple times on multiple streams.
Almost about as much as the Slughorn chapter.
As much as the Slughorn chapter.
The burial.
Yeah. So I was like, let's read The Egg in the Eye. Let's just get it out of the way. Let's just do it. Because it's such a good one.
And here we are.
So we're going to read The Egg in the Eye tonight. That's true. How explicit? Because yes, we were able to read Hermione and the Sorting Hat, and that was horrifying, and it still made it.
That's true.
So
YouTube has gotten a little bit more strict on their guidelines, though. So
I mean, send it to us anyway, and we'll take a look at it, and we'll see. Couldn't hurt to just send it to us anyway.
Maybe we could just censor it.
Right?
We'll change all the words.
Yeah.
Like, the F word will now be fudge pop.
Fudge pop. Corn fudge.
Shut the front door. You lant liquor. This is one of the greatest commercials.
You calling a lant liquor cootie queen? Or whatever the hell it is. Oh my god, that commercial. That commercial is like over 10 years old, and I can still like see it in my mind.
I'm just waiting for the day that I reference that commercial and no one knows what I'm talking about, and I just feel that old. I don't even remember what it was a commercial for. It was just great. Oh, the gum.
Orbit,
yeah.
Yeah.
Dirty mouth? Clean it up with Orbit.
Clean it up with Orbit. I can see the lady in my head. The Orbit lady with her blonde hair and her outfit. Like, I can see it clear as day.
Alright, anyway. Nice little trip down
Nostalgia lane. I did have a coworker today say that they were just like, millennials, Gen Z, Gen X, boomers, like, none of that makes sense to me. People don't make sense to me.
I think that's something all generations can agree on.
And I said, well, if there's one thing about people that's universally understood, it's that most of them kind of stink.
Yeah, some are alright.
The ones that like Harry Potter are alright.
Exactly.
If you like Harry Potter, I'm cool with you. I'm alright with that.
Well, Jackson, you're just flawless. So don't you worry. Alright, so gonna take a drink and then what do you say we hop in?
Well, that's because Jackson's a cat, also.
Yeah, but he's a special cat.
All right, so I am reading from the illustrated edition just because it's easier to put stickies in here, but I got lots of stickies in here.
Lots of notes, lots of things to talk about.
Okay.
And one of them says perv.
One of them says perv. All right. Here we go. Wow. Why do you, what? Hating Harry Potter? How dare you, Tom?
You hate Umbridge, you're okay. Agreed.
Tom is beginning
Unless
to
you love
hate Harry Potter. I can't even believe Tom right now. Chapter 25. The Egg and the Eye. As Harry had no idea how long a bath he would need to work out the secret of the golden egg, he decided to do it at night, when he would be able to take as much time as he wanted. Reluctant though he was to accept more favours from Cedric, he also decided to use the prefect's bathroom. Far fewer people were allowed in there, so it was much less likely that he would be disturbed. Real quick, just saying, favors is spelled the UK way.
Okay.
But this is an American edition. So we have UK spellings and an American edition of the book. Just putting it out there. Just a note.
I guess we now know who the superior language is.
Harry planned his excursion carefully because he had been caught out of bed and out of bounds by Filch the caretaker in the middle of the night once before and had no desire to repeat the experience. The invisibility cloak would of course be essential, and as an added precaution, Harry thought he would take the Marauder's map, which, next to the cloak, was the most useful aid to rule-breaking Harry owned. Boom boom, parallel to 1 and 3. Harry here is referencing being caught by Filch out of bed in the middle of the night, which happened in book 1.
Oh, and book 3?
And then in book 3, he gets the Marauder's map.
Well, technically
which is all
he's
about...
never caught. Or no, in 3 he is. For the first one he isn't, though.
No, they get caught. Him and Hermione get caught by Filch and McGonagall coming down from the tower after releasing Norbert. That's why they go into the Forbidden Forest. They're caught out of bounds.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I forgot they actually got caught.
They did get caught. And then the map showed the whole of Hogwarts, including its many shortcuts and secret passageways, and, most importantly of all, it revealed the people inside the castle as minuscule labelled dots, moving around the corridors so that Harry would be forewarned if somebody was approaching the bathroom. So it's just a nice little callback to book 3, and like, he's got the Marauder's map. It's aids in rule breaking. It's very useful. And like a brief explanation of what it does. So it's just like a nice little callback to 3 as well.
Yeah, that's true. In case you forgot.
Right. On Thursday night, Harry sneaked up to bed, put on the cloak, crept back downstairs, and just as he had done on the night when Hagrid had shown him the dragons, waited for the portrait hole to open. This time it was Ron who waited outside to give the fat lady the password, banana fritters. Good luck, Ron muttered, climbing into the common room as Harry crept out past him. Now, I want everyone to remember that Harry mentions the night Hagrid showed him the dragons. He specifically mentions the night Harry showed him the dragons. Bear that in mind.
Okay.
Okay, we'll get there later. We'll get there later.
Yes, Professor. Okay, class, make a note of this.
Make a note of that.
The test.
It will. It's going to come up in a little bit. It was awkward moving under the cloak tonight because Harry had the heavy egg under one arm and the map held up in front of his nose with the other. However, the moonlit corridors were empty and silent, and by checking the map at strategic intervals, Harry was able to ensure that he wouldn't run into anyone he wanted to avoid. When he reached the statue of Barty the Bewildered, a lost-looking wizard with his gloves on the wrong hands, he located the right door, leaned close to it, and muttered the password, "Pine Fresh," just as Cedric had told him. Pine Fresh. The door creaked open. Harry slipped inside, bolted the door behind him, and pulled off the invisibility cloak, looking around. His immediate reaction was that it would be worth becoming a prefect just to be able to use this bathroom. It was softly lit by a splendid candle-filled chandelier, and everything was made of white marble, including what looked like an empty rectangular swimming pool sunk into the middle of the floor. About 100 golden taps stood all round the pool's edges, each with a different coloured jewel set into its handle. There was also a diving board. Long white linen curtains hung at the windows, a large pile of fluffy white towels sat in a corner, and there was a single golden-framed painting on the wall. It featured a blonde mermaid who was fast asleep on the rock, her long hair fluttering over her face every time she snored. I wrote here foreshadowing because Harry literally says this bathroom is worth becoming a prefect for. And then you get this whole description about how awesome the bathroom is. And I think it's foreshadowing because in book 5, he's like really disappointed that he doesn't become a prefect.
It's all about the bathroom.
He's like, it would be worth becoming a prefect. And then later he like expects to be a prefect. And then even Hermione expects it. And then he's disappointed. And it's Ron who becomes a prefect. But I think this little moment here kind of foreshadows that later actual disappointment.
Yeah, he's getting himself hyped up.
And also,
thinking about
like,
all the baths.
You think Harry, like, you think when he found out Ron was prefect, he was like, now Ron gets to use that bathroom. Like, Ron doesn't even know about that bathroom, but I do. Now Ron gets to use that bathroom.
Hope Moaning Myrtle watches him every time. Just go to the girls' bathroom. Hey, Myrtle, you know who's a prefect now? Remember that cute redhead? Yeah.
Right. Katie's like, that's headcanon. That's headcanon. Yep. I mean, a really nice bathroom goes a really long way.
Oh, yeah.
It's very exciting to have a really nice bathroom.
That's a very adult thing of you to say.
I know it is. I know. Well, even Harry apparently appreciates a really nice bathroom, and he's like 14. So.
Okay, you got me there.
All right. So, like, there's nothing better than a nice, relaxing, comfortable bathroom. I don't care how old you are. A nice bathroom is a nice bathroom.
Relaxing, comfortable It's careful. You might fall asleep on the toilet. What? I've never thought of a bathroom as...
That's true. How can you really relax knowing that Myrtle may be there anytime?
Yeah.
That's true. Well, for me, I'm a girl, so I wouldn't care. We're both girls.
Maybe Myrtle isn't picky.
I think Myrtle is all about men.
Either way, it's still weird.
I wouldn't care about Moaning Myrtle. Because I'm a girl. I'd be like, all right, whatever, dude. Like, we got the same parts. I don't care. Because she's not going to watch me. She's going to watch whoever else. Yeah, she's boy crazy. She don't care about me. I could use that bathroom all the time.
True, she spies in secret. Unless you're Harry Potter. Then she lets you know every time.
But even still, I'm like, I don't know. Like, we both have boobs. You would spy on me? Like, what? You have the same thing I have. Like, whatever, dude. I don't know.
Okay.
It's a nice bathroom, man. It's a nice bathroom. You don't get stuff like that for free. It's always a compromise.
Yeah, I guess.
And besides, like, she's boy crazy. She wouldn't care about me going in there. She'd be all about, Ernie Macmillan And oh my god! Oh my god! What if that's where she first meets Draco? In the prefect's bathroom?
Probably.
That's probably it! Oh my god! What if she met Draco in the prefect's bathroom?
I mean, that's probably a really good guess.
Wow! Okay.
She caught him with his pants down.
Oh man.
Say yes.
All right. Anyway, let's Okay, let's keep going. Let's just read the chapter.
Look at that. This chapter just keeps giving and giving.
Well, there's so much more to give. Okay, let's go. Harry put down his cloak, the egg, and the map, and moved forwards, looking round, his footsteps echoing off the walls. Magnificent though the bathroom was, best bathroom ever. And quite keen though he was to try out a few of those taps, now he was here, he couldn't quite suppress the feeling that Cedric might have been having him on. How on earth was this supposed to help solve the mystery of the egg? Nevertheless, he put one of the fluffy towels, the cloak, the map, and the egg at the side of the swimming pool size bath, then knelt down and turned on a few of the taps. He could tell at once they carried different sorts of bubble bath mixed with the water, though it wasn't bubble bath as Harry had ever experienced it. One tap gushed pink and blue bubbles the size of footballs. Another poured ice-white foam so thick that Harry thought it would have supported his weight if he cared to test it. A third sent heavily perfumed purple clouds hovering over the surface of the water. Harry amused himself for a while, turning the taps on and off, particularly enjoying the effect of one whose jets bounced off the surface of the water in large arcs. Then, when the deep pool was full of hot water, foam and bubbles, which took a very short time considering its size, Harry turned off all the taps, pulled off his pajamas, slippers and dressing gown, and slid into the water. It was so deep that his feet barely touched the bottom, and he actually did a couple of lengths before swimming back to the side and treading water, staring at the egg. Highly enjoyable though it was to swim in hot, foamy water, with clouds of different coloured steam wafting round him, no stroke of brilliance came to him, no sudden burst of understanding. Harry stretched out his arms, lifted the egg in his wet hands and opened it. The wailing, screeching sound filled the bathroom, echoing and reverberating off the marble walls, but it sounded just as incomprehensible as ever, if not more so with all the echoes. He snapped it shut again, worried that the sound might attract Filch, wondering whether that hadn't been Cedric's plan. And then, making him jump so badly he dropped the egg, which clattered away across the bathroom floor, someone spoke. "I'd try putting it in the water, if I were you."
Oh, I thought you were going to say something on that.
Harry had swallowed a considerable amount of bubbles in the shock. He stood up, spluttering, and saw the ghost of a very glum-looking girl sitting cross-legged on top of one of the taps. It was Moaning Myrtle, who could usually be heard sobbing in the S-bend of a toilet 3 floors below. "Myrtle!" Harry said in outrage. I'm not wearing anything." The foam was so dense that this hardly mattered, but he had a nasty feeling that Myrtle had been spying on him from out of one of the taps ever since he'd arrived. "I closed my eyes when you got in," she said, blinking at him through her thick spectacles. "You haven't been to see me for ages." "Yeah, well," said Harry, bending his knees slightly, just to make absolutely sure Myrtle couldn't see anything but his head. I'm not supposed to come into your bathroom, am I? It's a girl's one." "You didn't used to care," said Myrtle miserably. "You used to be in there all the time."
Way to make Harry sound like a creep.
This was true, but only because Harry, Ron, and Hermione had found Myrtle's out-of-order toilets a convenient place to brew Polyjuice Potion in secret, a forbidden potion which had turned Harry and Ron into living replicas of Crabbe and Goyle for an hour, so that they could sneak into the Slytherin common room. All right. Boom. Boom, boom, boom. Big clues right here. Number 1, parallel to book 2, right? Because he actually talks about brewing the Polyjuice Potion in book 2, and like Myrtle doesn't usually come here, and yeah, we used to see Myrtle all the time because we brewed Polyjuice Potion there.
Yeah, they kind of hit you over the head with that one.
And then it literally says a potion that turned Harry and Ron into Crabbe and Goyle for an hour. And then later, Harry sees Barty Crouch on the map, and then Moody shows up. And Moody was in Snape's office looking for Polyjuice ingredients. It's like right there.
Hint, hint.
The clue, all the solutions to the mystery are right here.
Yeah, I see that.
It's right there. And only when you go back and read it again, you're like, oh my God, there is a Polyjuice mention right here in this bit of the chapter. And then later, you get the Barty Crouch in Snape's office. And Snape says, someone's been stealing shit out of my office, which is literally what Hermione does in book 2. It's right here. It's so good. But the first time you read it,
realize that it was there like this time?
No.
Oh, okay.
No.
You're just so like high energy
because it's so good.
You just figured it out.
No, because it's just so good. It's right here. But when you read it for the first time, you're not even gonna.
Oh yeah, that went right over my head.
Right.
I had no idea.
Yeah, you're not even gonna see it. But that's what's so great about coming back and rereading this series is that you go back and you read and you're like, God, there's a clue right there. That's a clue. Rowling is trying to tell you, but not really trying to tell you, because then she's going to keep throwing like red herrings at you. But here it is. There's one right there. Okay, anyway, sorry.
Spoiler warning if this is your first time.
Yeah, no. This is not a stream for anyone who has not read the books.
Myrtle is only in book 2, 4, and 6. When is she in 6?
Malfoy.
Oh, we just
yeah. Harry Caesar. So there's your 2, 4, 6 parallel.
Boom.
Yep. I got told off for going in there, said Harry, which was half true. Percy had once caught him coming out of Myrtle's bathroom. I thought I'd better not come back after that. Oh, I see, said Myrtle, picking at a spot on her chin in a morose sort of way. Well, anyway, I'd try the egg in the water. That's what Cedric Diggory did. Have you been spying on him too? Said Harry indignantly. What'd you do, sneak up on... What do you do, sneak up here in the evenings to watch the prefects take baths? Sometimes.
Yep, see?
Said Myrtle rather slyly. But I've never come out to speak to anybody before. Perv! Perv, Myrtle. Come on.
It's not bad if no one knows that you're doing it, right?
Well, what does Grunkle Stan say? It's not illegal if no one's there to see it.
If the cops don't catch you.
It's not illegal. It's not illegal if the cops don't catch you.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. I guess.
In this case, it's Dumbledore. But, I mean, it's the prefect's bathroom, and it's just one big bathtub. So, like...
It's not even a bathtub. It's a pool.
Well, either way. Everyone sees everyone naked, so it's fine. Unless they have shifts.
I wonder how Ron and Hermione made that work when they were prefects.
Oh, they made it work. Why do you think they ended up getting together?
Ron, was catching glances. Yeah, she's a voyeur. That's exactly... Hi, Vane. Right?
Prefect baby.
No wonder Percy and Penelope got along so well. No wonder Lily and James got together. Maybe that's what changed Lily's mind. She saw him in the prefect's bathroom and was
Seems like a lot of prefects are getting with other prefects.
Maybe she saw him in the prefect's bathroom or when they were head boy and head girl and she was like, ooh, maybe I ought to reconsider. He's got quite a large wand, he does.
She wanted to take a ride on his broomstick.
Yeah. All right, here, anyway. I'm honored, said Harry darkly. You keep your eyes shut. He made sure Myrtle had her glasses well covered before hoisting himself out of the bath, wrapping the towel firmly round himself and going to get the egg. Once he was back in the water, Myrtle peered through her fingers and said, Go on then, open it under the water. Harry lowered the egg beneath the foamy surface and opened it. And this time it did not wail. A gurgling song was coming out of it, a song whose words he couldn't distinguish through the water. You need to put your head under too, said Myrtle, who seemed to be thoroughly enjoying bossing him around. Go on! Harry took a great breath and slid under the surface. And now, sitting on the marble bottom of the bubble-filled bath, he heard a chorus of eerie voices singing to him from the open egg in his hands. Come seek us where our voices sound. We cannot sing above the ground. And while you're searching, ponder this. We've taken what you'll surely miss. An hour long you'll have to look, and to recover what we took. But past an hour, the prospect's black. Too late, it's gone, it won't come back. Harry let himself float backwards and broke the bubbly surface, shaking his hair out of his eyes. Hear it? Said Myrtle. Yeah. Come seek us where our voices sound. And if I need persuading... Hang on, I need to listen again. He sank back beneath the water. It took 3 more underwater renditions of the egg's song before Harry had it memorized. Then he trod water for a little while, thinking hard, while Myrtle sat and watched him. I've got to go and look for people who can't use their voices above the ground, he said slowly. The
mole people.
Who could that be? Slow, aren't you? Harry had never seen Moaning Myrtle so cheerful, apart from the day when Hermione's dose of polyjuice potion had given her the hairy face and tail of a cat. Harry stared round the bathroom, thinking. There you go, there's another nod to book 2. The whole Hermione turning into a kitty thing.
Probably looked like Bobans. Yeah, Hogwarts is so prudish with not letting the boys enter the girls' dormitory, but I guess once you're a prefect, have at it. You're responsible. You know what to do.
You're also 15. You're 2 years away from being an adult.
Is it 15 they become prefects?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Well, 5th year.
Okay.
So around 15.
So when hormones are at their highest, let's give them a co-ed bathroom.
Harry stared round the bathroom, thinking, if the voices could only be heard underwater, then it made sense for them to belong to underwater creatures. He ran this theory past Myrtle, who smirked at him. Well, that's what Diggory thought, she said. He lay there talking to himself for ages about it. Ages and ages. Nearly all the bubbles had gone. Underwater. Harry said slowly. Myrtle, what lives in the lake apart from the giant squid? Oh, all sorts, she said. I sometimes go down there. Sometimes don't have any choice. If someone flushes my toilet when I'm not expecting it. Trying not to think about Moaning Myrtle zooming down a pipe to the lake with the contents of a toilet, Harry said, Well, does anything in there have human voices? Hang on. Harry's eyes had fallen to the picture of the snoozing mermaid on the wall. Myrtle, there aren't mer-people in there, are there? Oh, very good, she said, her thick glasses twinkling. It took Diggory much longer than that, and that was with her awake too. Myrtle jerked her head toward the mermaid with an expression of great dislike on her glum face. Giggling and showing off and flashing her fins. That's it, isn't it? Said Harry excitedly. The second task to go and find the mer-people in the lake and... But he suddenly realized what he was saying, and he felt the excitement drain out of him as though someone had just pulled a plug in his stomach. He wasn't a very good swimmer. He'd never had much practice.
Since you stopped, I just want to bring up a point. You want to know a loophole in this whole book? Why is it that water, when flushed, affects Moaning Myrtle when she's a ghost?
Because ghosts can affect water. Ghosts are affected by water. They are not affected by solid surfaces, but they are affected by other states of matter, like water.
Okay, so why is she, like, stuck within the pipe then? The pipe isn't water.
She chills in there. She, like, wants to be in there.
Like, be able to fit.
She's not bonded to the solid of the pipe, but the pressure of the water pushes her.
Alright, after this chapter you'll have to explain to me why water affects ghosts, but solid objects do not.
It's on Pottermore. It's, there are certain elements that do affect ghosts. Water is one of them. Solids are not. States of matter.
Okay.
She does. She splashes the water in the bathroom.
Yeah,
because she floods the bathroom all the time.
I thought she was using, like, supernatural powers, like in the movies, fling the cabinet doors open and stuff.
Right, but she only splashes the water in the bathroom. She doesn't, like, push the stall doors or anything. She literally just floods the bathroom.
I just thought that that's all she wanted to do was flood the bathroom.
Yeah, Nick is moved with a fan. I think it's wind and water that ghosts are affected by, but not solids.
Okay. Then I just send make a charm in the prefect's bathroom that sends a breeze.
Now I have to pee. Thank you. Now that we've stopped talking about bathrooms for too long.
Well, if it makes you feel any better, you'll flush away Moaning Myrtle in the pipes. She's a water and air bender. Is she the Avatar? She knows 2 of the elements so far. I wonder if fire could affect her, now that all those can. Yeah, maybe fire, Melanie. So many questions about ghosts now in this. I can't remember if I ever asked it, like, during our first read.
I think you did. I think you asked about the water before.
Ah, okay.
I feel like you did ask about the water before. Okay. Anyway. He wasn't a very good swimmer. He'd never had much practice. Dudley had had lessons in their youth, but Aunt Petunia and Uncle Vernon, no doubt hoping that Harry would drown one day, hadn't bothered to give him any. A couple of lengths of this bath was all very well, but that lake was very large and very deep, and mer people would surely live right at the bottom. I just put a little note that was very, like, Roald Dahl of Rowling to say that, no doubt hoping that Harry would drown one day. Just, like, very dark British humor there. Myrtle, Harry said slowly. How am I supposed to breathe? At this, Myrtle's eyes filled with sudden tears again. Tactless, she muttered, groping in her robes for a handkerchief. What's tactless? Said Harry, bewildered. Talking about breathing in front of me, she said shrilly, and her voice echoed loudly round the bathroom. When I can't, when I haven't, not for ages. She buried her face in a handkerchief and sniffed loudly. Harry remembered how touchy Myrtle had always been about being dead, but none of the other ghosts he knew made such a fuss about it. Sorry, he said impatiently. I didn't mean. I just forgot. I didn't put a sticky here, but actually it's very interesting. None of the other ghosts he knew made a fuss about being dead. But then later in book 5, we will find out just how terrible of a choice that is, and how, to some degree, kind of Nick seems to kind of regret it.
I feel like Nick kind of made a bit of a fuss before this.
Yeah. And then Harry is just saying never made a fuss about it, but I do think that you see throughout the other books that, like, they very much do. So this is kind of like a little touchstone here in the middle of the story.
Oh, that's a good point. It could also be an allusion to the medieval witch huntings. Many of them were drowned.
That's true. It very much could be.
I remember learning about that.
Yeah.
They would tie stones to your feet if they thought you were a witch and throw you in the lake. If you drowned, you weren't a witch. If you floated, you were a witch, and then they'd burn you at the stake.
Yeah. No, that's...
So, there was no winning.
It very much could be. I would bet that Rowling did this on purpose. I feel like that's something Rowling would know, and she very much would do it on purpose. Oh, yes. Very easy to forget Myrtle's dead, said Myrtle, gulping, looking at him out of swollen eyes. Nobody missed me, even when I was alive. Took them hours and hours to find my body.
I don't know why anyone would not miss you.
Oh, I know. I was sitting there waiting for them. Oliver Hornby came into the bathroom. Are you in here again, sulking Myrtle? She said. Because Professor Dippet asked me to look for you. And then she saw my body. Oh, she didn't forget it until her dying day. I made sure of that. Followed her round and reminded her I did. I remember at her brother's wedding. But Harry wasn't listening. He was thinking about the Mer People's song again. We've taken what you'll sorely miss. That sounded as though they were going to steal something of his that he had to get back. What were they going to take? And then, of course, she went to the Ministry of Magic to stop me stalking her. So I had to come back here and live in my toilet. Moaning Myrtle has a restraining order against her.
Yeah.
Moaning Myrtle has a restraining order. I just wanted to make a note of that. She's got a restraining order. Jesus Christ. I'm just saying.
I mean, I would too. But it also shows that, teaches Harry in the future, if you need it, you could get a second one on her. Pretty soon she's just going to be, like, quarantined to Hogwarts.
Oh my god. Ginny would probably be the one putting on the restraining order.
It's true. I feel like, no, Ginny would just come up with some sort of hex or curse to lock her out.
Bat bogey hex.
That's what I mean, but something that affects ghosts. I feel like Ginny is kind of cruel in that way.
Good, said Harry vaguely. Well, I'm a lot further on than I was. Shut your eyes again, will you, while I'm getting out? He retrieved the egg from the bottom of the bath, climbed out, dried himself, and pulled on his pajamas and dressing gown again. Will you come and visit me in my bathroom again sometime? Moaning Myrtle asked mournfully, as Harry picked up the invisibility cloak. I'll try, Harry said, though privately thinking the only way he'd be visiting Myrtle's bathroom again was if every other toilet in the castle got blocked. See you, Myrtle. Thanks for your help. I pegged this as book 6 foreshadowing. Will you
that every oh no, that
no
he'll be visiting you.
like will you come visit me again? Will you come see me again? And he's like, yeah, sure I will. And he's like pretty much like, yeah, when hell freezes over. But then he does see her again, and it's like in the most extreme circumstances because he's trying to figure out what Malfoy's doing, and he does end up visiting her again. So I put that as a little bit of a book 6 foreshadowing right there.
Yeah.
It's good. One little tiny paragraph, and Rowling is foreshadowing Myrtle coming back in 6. Because he sees her
Myrtle
again.
only comes back for like a couple paragraphs in 6, though.
Right, but she does come back, and it's in like extreme circumstances that Harry would not just stroll in to say hi to her. It's literally like he's on a mission. There's purpose. There's circumstances, and
that's true.
I'm just saying that's foreshadowing right there.
And instead of all the pipes being clogged, Malfoy is opening a pipe basically into Hogwarts.
Yeah, pretty much. Bye-bye, she said gloomily, and as Harry put on the invisibility cloak, he saw her zoom back up the tap. Out in the dark corridor, Harry examined the Marauders map to check that the coast was still clear. Yes, the dots belonging to Filch and Mrs. Norris were safely in their office. Nothing else seemed to be moving apart from Peeves, who was bouncing around the trophy room on the floor above. Harry had taken his first trip back to Gryffindor Tower when something else... Harry had taken his first step back to Gryffindor Tower when something else on the map caught his eye. Something distinctly odd. And I also pegged that as just Peeves is in the trophy room at this time. It's pretty much midnight or a little after. It's just a tiny little callback to Harry and Ron going to the trophy room at midnight to meet Malfoy in book 1.
The midnight duel.
Yeah. Peeves is specifically in the trophy room at this time. That is definitely a book 1 callback right there.
It's very much a Peeves thing, too.
Yes, it's definitely a Peeves thing.
I only wonder what he was doing.
Something naughty. Peeves was not the only thing that was moving. A single dot was flitting around a room in the bottom left-hand corner. Snape's office. But the dot wasn't labelled Severus Snape. It was Bartemius Crouch. Harry stared at the dot. Mr. Crouch was supposed to be too ill to go to work or to come to the Yule Ball. So what was he doing sneaking into Hogwarts at 1 o'clock in the morning? Harry watched closely as the dot moved round and round the room, pausing here and there. Harry hesitated, thinking. And then his curiosity got the better of him. He turned and set off in the opposite direction, towards the nearest staircase. He was going to see what Crouch was up to. Okay.
A ghost basilisk? Well, Fox ripped out the basilisk's eyes. So, considering that Headless Nick is still, missing most of his neck, I would assume that the basilisk ghost wouldn't have eyes if it came back. But
That would make
If the
sense.
basilisk did have eyes, it's very interesting. How would that work?
Well, it wouldn't have eyes.
Well, no,
Because,
it wouldn't. But I'm saying, as a ghost, if a basilisk did die with its eyes,
I am pretty sure that only witches and wizards can come back as ghosts. I don't think it applies to magical creatures.
oh well, that sucks.
I know. I'm sorry. I am sorry I disappointed.
No, no zero in this story.
Okay, so remember when Harry mentioned Hagrid and the dragons?
Yeah.
Here we are. Harry mentions... Now, Katie, tell me if I'm crazy. Harry mentions here specifically that it is 1 o'clock in the morning. When Harry goes with...
Wait, I thought you just said it was midnight.
No, he says 1 o'clock in the morning.
Oh, okay.
When Harry goes to meet Hagrid to see the dragons, it's at midnight.
Mm-hmm.
It's literally the middle point of the book and the middle point of the entire series. Harry mentions Hagrid and the dragons at the beginning of this chapter, and then here he very specifically says it's 1 o'clock in the morning. So we're kind of, if you look at the series as a clock face, maybe this is the 1 o'clock in the morning point in the series.
Maybe. Or maybe it's just 1 a.m.
But it's only it's only so many chapters after. Katie, you tell me if I'm crazy, but I think the fact that it's 1 o'clock in the morning is very... Yeah, Katie is like, I like it.
I don't know enough about it, so I'm gonna just go with you guys and say that yes, you were right.
I would have to look. I think have to look further into like where chapter 25 sits in everything. But I'm like, it's very specific. I don't think Rowling would mention Hagrid and the Dragon specifically being the middle point of the book and the series, and then in this particular instance, then say it's 1 a.m. Like, that's too much of a coincidence to me. But you're right, Katie. I think there's like something there with that. I think there is.
I'm not completely convinced, but like I said, you guys have done more research on this. So.
I think it's there.
It's cool if it is there. I'm not 100% convinced.
All right, fair enough. Harry walked down the stairs as quietly as possible, though the faces in some of the portraits still turned curiously at the squeak of a floorboard, the rustle of his pajamas. He crept along the corridor below, pushed aside a tapestry about halfway along, and proceeded down a narrower staircase, a shortcut which would take him down 2 floors. He kept glancing down at the map, wondering if it just didn't seem in character somehow. For correct law-abiding Mr. Crouch to be sneaking round someone else's office this late at night. And then, about halfway down the staircase, not thinking about what he was doing, not concentrating on anything but the peculiar behaviour of Mr. Crouch, Harry's leg suddenly sank right through the trick step Neville had always forgot to jump. He gave an ungainly wobble, and the golden egg, still damp from the bath, slipped from under his arm. He lurched forward to try and catch it, but too late. The egg fell down the long staircase with a bang as loud as a bass drum on every step. The invisibility cloak slipped. Harry snatched at it, and the marauder's map fluttered out of his hand and slid down 6 stairs, where, sunk in the step above his knee, he couldn't reach it.
Dun dun dun.
So, a couple things here. Number 1.
You know, the school is really bad about fixing any of the, like, pranks that kids do. Like, how long has that step been there? And no one's come and, like, removed it.
How do we know it was a kid that did it?
I mean, I don't think the founders of Hogwarts would have just made a trick step.
maybe that
Maybe
staircase,
Peeves. I believe it's Peeves.
maybe that staircase used to lead to like Gryffindor's bedroom, and Slytherin was like, I'm gonna just do this right here, just as he's on
Okay,
his
but
way.
why did anyone fix it?
Maybe no one knows about it.
Neville falls in it every day.
That does not mean anything. Doesn't mean like everyone knows about it. Dumbledore says like there's so many things about this castle even I don't know. Maybe the teachers are just like, because like the student says, oh, I sunk in the step, and they're like, yeah, okay, whatever, dude. Like they don't maybe pay attention to where the step is. Maybe they just think the kids are lying to them. Like,
I want to know is where does the step go? What if you completely fall through?
that's right. Katie also mentioned that in the dragon chapter, Rowling specifically mentions what day it is.
Uh-huh.
And that date is the middle date of all the events of the series.
Yeah.
It's and it's like it's kind of
know that.
yeah,
I remember you telling
and
me
it's
that.
like a parallel or whatever. But this, I just wanted to mention this paragraph here. It's another callback to book 1 because we had the mention of the trophy room in the midnight duel, but then we also have like a mention of Neville here always falling through the step. Neville shows up in the midnight duel chapter.
Mhm.
And
I wonder
then
if he fell through the step then.
Yes, it's November 22nd. 11 is half of 22.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And then I also just again, you guys tell me if I'm crazy, but it just hit me that in this chapter we find out that an egg is the source of all the information, and it's another callback to book 1. In book 1, they try to get Harry his letter through a bunch of eggs.
Mm-hmm.
And Petunia like cracks them open and it's full of letters, and he doesn't actually get the information, but it's all these eggs hiding
That's true. Yeah.
this secret information. But in that instance he doesn't get it, but here in book 4 you have an egg and it reveals information. It's a clue, but we have another 1 to 4 parallel of eggs hiding information.
So if anyone ever offers you an egg in these trying times,
You
should take it.
You crack that bitch open. I'm sorry. Wow. Lots of swearing very quickly. Okay. Let's keep going. We're almost done. The golden egg fell through the tapestry at the bottom of the staircase, burst open and began wailing loudly in the corridor below. Harry pulled out his wand and struggled to touch the Marauder's map to wipe it blank, but it was too far away to reach. Pulling the cloak back over himself, Harry straightened up, listened hard, his eyes screwed up with fear, and almost immediately, Peeves! It was the unmistakable hunting cry of Filch the caretaker. Harry could hear his rapid, shuffling footsteps coming nearer and nearer, his wheezy voice raised in fury. What's this racket? Wake up the whole castle, will ya? I'll have you, Peeves, I'll have you! You... What is this? Filch's footsteps stopped. There was a clink of metal on metal, and the wailing stopped. Filch had picked up the egg and closed it. Harry stood very still, one leg still jammed tightly in the magical step, listening. Any moment now, Filch was going to pull aside the tapestry, expecting to see Peeves. And there would be no Peeves. But if he came up the stairs, he would spot the Marauder's map. And, invisibility cloak or not, the map would show Harry Potter standing exactly where he was. Egg? Filch said quietly at the foot of the stairs. My sweet! Mrs. Norris was obviously with him. This is a Triwizard clue. This belongs to a school champion. Harry felt sick. His heart was hammering very fast. Peeves! Filch roared gleefully. You've been stealing! He ripped back the tapestry below, and Harry saw his horrible pouchy face and bulging pale eyes staring up in the dark, and, to Filch, deserted staircase. Hiding, are ya? He said softly. I'm coming to get you, Peeves. You've gone and stolen a Triwizard Clue, Peeves. Dumbledore'll have you out of here for sure, you filthy, pilfering poltergeist. Filch started to climb the stairs, his scrawny, dust-coloured cat at his heels. Mrs. Norris's lamp-like eyes, so very like her master's, were fixed directly upon Harry. He had had the occasion before now to wonder whether the invisibility cloak worked on cats. Sick with apprehension, he watched Filch drawing nearer and nearer in his old flannel dressing gown. He tried desperately to pull his trap leg free, but it merely sank a few more inches. Any second now, Filch was going to spot the map or walk right into him. Filch? What's going on? Filch stopped a few steps below Harry and turned. At the foot of the stairs stood the only person who could make Harry's situation worse. Snape. He was wearing a long grey nightshirt, and he looked livid. It's Peeves, Professor, Filch whispered malevolently. He threw this egg down the stairs. Snape climbed up the stairs quickly and stopped beside Filch. Harry gritted his teeth. Convinced his loudly thumping heart would give him away at any second. Peeves? Said Snape softly, staring at the egg in Filch's hands. But Peeves couldn't get into my office. This egg was in your office, Professor? Of course not, Snape snapped. I heard banging and wailing. Yes, Professor, that was the egg. I was coming to investigate. Peeves threw it, Professor! And when I passed my office, I saw that the torches were lit and a cupboard door was ajar. Someone had been searching it. But Peeves wouldn't... I know he wouldn't, Filch, Snape snapped. I love that we have Snape snapped. Snape snapped.
Snape snap.
Snape snap. I seal my office with a spell none but a wizard could break. Snape looked up the stairs, straight through Harry, and then down into the corridor below. I want you to come and help me search for the intruder, Filch.
Another example of a Death Eater underestimating the magic of house elves.
I literally wrote that.
Did you?
Yeah, I did. I was like, oh, none but a wizard. But what about a house elf?
That's right.
That's right. Dobby for the win.
No one expects the Dobby.
That's right. That's so funny that you thought that too.
Mm-hmm.
That's great. Yes, Professor, but... Filch looked yearningly up the stairs, right through Harry, who could see that he was very reluctant to forego the chance of cornering Peeves. Go, Harry pleaded with him silently. Go with Snape. Go. Mrs. Norris was peering round Filch's legs. Harry had the distinct impression that she could smell him. Why had he filled that bath with so much perfumed foam? Also, I am convinced that cats can definitely see through invisibility cloaks. It is part of their magic.
Probably.
Their magic babies. Magic babies.
The invisibility cloak disrupts visible light, but
maybe not.
I don't know if
other
cats can
spectrums.
see what sort of spectrums cats can see. Infrared, ultraviolet, some spectrum of color we don't know. X-ray, perhaps.
Katie's right. There is also a Sirius said seriously line at one point. There is. I think there's a couple of them. I think there's a couple of Sirius said seriously.
Sirius was serious when he seriously said.
The thing is, Professor, said Filch plaintively,
The headmaster will have to listen to me this time. Peeves has been stealing from a student. It might be my chance to get him thrown out of the castle once and for all. Filch, I don't give a damn about that wretched poltergeist. It is my office that's... Clunk, clunk, clunk. Snape stopped talking very abruptly. He and Filch looked down at the foot of the stairs. Harry saw Mad-Eye Moody limp into sight through the narrow gap between their heads. Moody was wearing his old travelling cloak over his nightshirt and leaning on his staff as usual. "Pajama party, is it?" he growled up the stairs. "Professor Snape and I heard noises, Professor," said Filch at once. "Peeves a poltergeist, throwing things round as usual, and then Professor Snape discovered that someone had broken into his office—" "Shut up!" Snape hissed to Filch. Moody took a step closer to the foot of the stairs. Harry saw Moody's magical eye travel over Snape, and then, unmistakably, onto himself. Harry's heart gave a horrible jolt. Moody could see through invisibility cloaks. He alone could see the full strangeness of the scene. Snape in his nightshirt, Filch clutching the egg, and he, Harry, trapped in the stairs behind them. Moody's lopsided gash of a mouth opened in surprise. For a few seconds, he and Harry stared straight into each other's eyes. Then Moody closed his mouth and turned his blue eye upon Snape again. "Did I hear that correctly, Snape?" he said slowly. "Someone broke into your office." "It is unimportant," said Snape coldly. "On the contrary," growled Moody, "it is very important. Who'd want to break into your office?" "A student, I dare say," said Snape. Harry could see a vein flickering horribly on Snape's greasy temple. "It's happened before. Potion ingredients have gone missing from my private store cupboard. Students attempting illicit mixtures, no doubt." "Reckon they were after potions ingredients, eh?" said Moody. "Not hiding anything else in your office, are ya?" Harry saw the edge of Snape's sallow face turn a nasty brick colour, the vein in his temple pulsing more rapidly. "You know I'm hiding nothing, Moody," he said in a soft and dangerous voice, "as you've searched my office pretty thoroughly yourself." Moody's face twisted into a smile. "Orders privilege, Snape. Dumbledore told me to keep an eye—" "Dumbledore happens to trust me," said Snape through clenched teeth. "I refuse to believe he gave you orders to search my office." "Course Dumbledore trusts you," growled Moody. "He's a trusting man, isn't he? Believes in second chances. But me, I say there are spots that don't come off, Snape. Spots that never come off. Do you know what I mean?"
I just wrote the actual real frustration of Snape here.
Alluding to the Dark Knight.
Alluding to the dark mark on his arm, but also when Snape says, like, Dumbledore trusts me. Like, when you go and read The Prince's Tale and then you come back and you see this, it's like Snape's frustration is so intense because he knows, and Dumbledore knows, why Snape is trustworthy, what he has done to seal the deal to be loyal to Dumbledore. And Snape, knowing that, knowing what he's giving and why he's giving it, and to have Moody just, like, throwing it in his face like this is so frustrating.
Well, Barty Moody.
That's the other part. And then you also have to look at it from the perspective of this is Barty Crouch Jr. literally being a dick. Like, being a douche.
Right?
Like, but Snape doesn't know it.
Broken into your office. That's weird.
And Snape saying students making illicit mixtures, that's another Polyjuice reference.
Mm.
And then Harry seeing Barty crouch on the map, and then boom, Moody shows up. Like, it's all here in this chapter to tell you Moody is the bad guy.
Yeah.
He's stealing potion ingredients from Snape. What else? Why else would he be in there? Because he's in there. Harry wants to know why he's in there at 1 o'clock in the morning. And before, we got a Polyjuice mention, and then Snape literally saying, like, people are stealing shit from me. Like, Harry should put it together. Well, I shouldn't say Harry should put it together. He wouldn't be able to.
I was going to say, as a reader, I had more information. I didn't put it together at first.
Yeah. I shouldn't say Harry should have put it
Leave
together.
Harry alone. He's
all
doing
right,
his best.
Harry is doing his best. Harry is doing his best. I'm sorry. To be suspicious in the first place is good on Harry.
People like you is the reason why we get caps lock Harry.
No, all right. I shouldn't hate on Harry. I do agree that the faux glass scene at the end of this book shows that Snape is on the good side. I agree with that.
Yeah.
Right. The threat to the operator. The operator was Voldemort's most loyal servant. So for Snape to be his enemy proves that he's not on Voldemort's side.
Or just a very good double agent. But I mean, honestly, if Barty Crouch Jr. is on one side, I really don't care what side he's on. I'm going to the other one. It's creepy.
But really,
at least in the movie, extremely creepy.
Really, really good at his job. I feel like
okay, you got me there.
I feel like that's why Rowling had him get the Dementor's kiss. Because he's just so good. Like, she had to kill him at the end. She's like, I gotta incapacitate this dude because he's too good.
Harry's gonna lose.
Yeah, Harry's gonna lose if I let this guy live. Yeah. If I let him keep his brains, it's over.
There's gonna be a new Dark Lord pretty soon.
Right. Snape suddenly did something very strange. He seized his left forearm convulsively with his right hand, as though something on it had hurt him. Moody laughed. Get back to bed, Snape. You don't have the authority to send me anywhere, Snape hissed, letting go of his arm as though angry with himself. I have as much right to prowl this school after dark as you do. Prowl away, said Moody, but his voice was full of menace. I look forward to meeting you in a dark corridor sometime. You've dropped something, by the way. With a stab of horror, Harry saw Moody point at the Marauders map, still lying on the staircase 6 steps below him. As Snape and Filch both turned to look at it, Harry threw caution to the winds. He raised his arms under the cloak and waved furiously at Moody to attract his attention, mouthing, It's mine! Mine! Snape had reached out for it, a horrible expression of dawning comprehension on his face. Accio parchment! The map flew up into the air, slipped through Snape's outstretched fingers, and soared down the stairs into Moody's hand. My mistake, said Moody calmly. It's mine. Must have dropped it earlier. But Snape's black eyes were darting from the egg in Filch's arms to the map in Moody's hand, and Harry could tell he was putting 2 and 2 together, as only Snape could. Potter, he said quietly. What's that? Said Moody calmly, folding up the map and pocketing it. Potter! Snape snarled, and he actually turned his head and stared right at the place where Harry was, as though he could suddenly see him. That egg is Potter's egg. That piece of parchment belongs to Potter. I've seen it before. I recognize it. Potter is here. Potter in his invisibility cloak. Snape stretched out his hands like a blind man and began to move up the stairs. Harry could have sworn his overlarge nostrils were dilating, trying to sniff Harry out. Trapped, Harry leaned backwards, trying to avoid Snape's fingertips, but any moment now.
There's nothing there, Snape, barked Moody. But I'll be happy to tell the headmaster how quickly your mind jumped to Harry Potter. Meaning what? Snarled Snape, turning again to look at Moody, his hands still outstretched, inches from Harry's chest.
Also, we got Snape snarled twice. One before we got Snape snapped. Nice rolling.
I hate you with the double. We don't always want to be against Barty Jr. because he did the greatest thing ever in the story. Draco, the amazing bouncing ferret. That's true. I wonder if he would have turned Snape into a ferret if he came across him in a dark corridor one night.
Barty Jr.?
Yeah.
I think he would have done worse to Snape.
Yeah.
He considers him a traitor.
That's true. The Inside Out curse.
Ah. The Inside Out. Oh my god. All the way back to book 2. Never forget.
There you go. Ring composition.
Right.
Always bringing it back.
Never forget the Inside Out curse.
Meaning that Dumbledore's very interested in who's got it in for that boy, said Moody, limping nearer still to the foot of the stairs. And so am I, Snape. Very interested. The torchlight flickered across his mangled face so that the scars and the chunk missing from his nose looked deeper and darker than ever. Snape was looking down at Moody, and Harry couldn't see the expression on his face. For a moment, nobody moved or said anything. Then Snape slowly lowered his hands. I merely thought, said Snape in a voice of forced calm, that if Potter was wandering around after hours again, it's an unfortunate habit of his. He should be stopped. For his own safety. Ah, I see, said Moody softly. Got Potter's best interests at heart, do ya?
Good save.
How right that is. He really does do everything he can to teach and protect Harry. He really does.
Yeah.
He does. He
Under
teaches.
Dumbledore's orders.
Well, he teaches Harry more than anyone else. Other than Dumbledore.
Involuntarily.
But I just think that's so funny. Got Potter's best interests at heart, do you? Like, he really is protecting Harry every step of the way. It's kind of funny how true that is.
Mm.
Also, this little bit is a nice callback to book 3 when Snape, like, loses it over Sirius and is, like, screaming that Potter did it. And just loses his mind.
Snape's greatest loss.
Oh my god. And then at the very end, Dumbledore's just like, he'll be alright. He's just suffered a very massive disappointment.
I wonder if Dumbledore ever told him
About what? Oh.
about what happened.
About what really happened?
Yeah.
Oh my god. Can you imagine that? I want to be a beetle on the wall for that
Right?
conversation.
Rita Skeeter, please let us know. Inform us.
Did Dumbledore ever tell? Well, Dumbledore told him he was innocent, but did he ever really tell him, well, this is what happened?
So remember that night.
When you lost it completely in front of the Minister of Magic and had a, like, mental breakdown?
You were right. Kind of.
You were right. Oh my god. But again, it's so good because Snape is right. And there's nothing he can do about it. No one wants to listen to him. They're just like, dude, go to bed. You're out of your mind. Like, the frustration. Snape is just like... When he starts just, like, going like this, like, it's just like, he knows. He literally knows Harry so well. He hates him, but he knows him so well. It's so funny. It's so funny. He's like, it's him. He's right here somewhere. He's here. Just, so good.
And after that, no one believed him.
Right? It's like the boy who cries wolf. The man who cries Potter.
Snape's just insane. No one knows why they keep him around.
Yes, that drawing of Snape. I still have that drawing of Snape. That I drew on an index card.
Yep.
I have it. I still have it.
Oh, that is nice.
Oh, man. I'm sorry, I gotta find my spot. I can't stop laughing. Okay. There was a pause. Snape and Moody were still staring at each other. Mrs. Norris gave a loud meow, still peering round Filch's legs, looking for the source of Harry's bubble bath smell. I think I will go to bed, Snape said curtly. Best idea you've had all night, said Moody. Now, Filch, if you just give me that egg. No, said Filch, clutching the egg as though it were his firstborn. Professor Moody, this is the evidence of Peeves's trickery. It's the property of the champion he stole it from, said Moody. Hand it over now. Snape swept downstairs and past Moody without another word. Filch made a chirruping noise to Mrs. Norris, who stared blankly at Harry for a few more seconds before turning and following her master. Still breathing very hard, Harry heard Snape walking away down the corridor. Filch handed Moody the egg and disappeared from view too, muttering to Mrs. Norris, Never mind, my sweet. We'll see Dumbledore in the morning. Tell him what Peeves was up to. A door slammed. I just realized that... I'm sorry I keep pausing, but Filch just said, we'll tell Dumbledore in the morning what Peeves was up to. I just gained a newfound appreciation for Dumbledore. He has to listen every time Filch has something to say. Oh my god.
No wonder he has him clean the owlery.
Right? Like, every time Filch is like, this happened, this.
Peeves, I'm telling you, it's Peeves.
Right, how many times does Dumbledore have to hear that?
That was so much. I just imagine Dumbledore waking up before he has his coffee and Filch is just there, just screaming his favorite snacks, trying to get up to his office. Dumbledore, I gotta tell you, this happened again last night.
Yeah, it's sort of newfound respect for Dumbledore. Right there, just for dealing with that.
Of patience.
Just
maybe he doesn't have patience. Maybe he flips out on him. Who knows?
Maybe that's where Dumbledore takes out his rage, and that's why he's so calm every other time something happens, because he gets it all out on Filch. Like, oh man, I just that's thought about it. Like,
gets his power from. He just channels all that energy from Dumbledore. The hatred for Filch.
You'll know he gets his energy from all the students in the castle.
Well, I know. It was a joke. They're on a list in Filch's office. Oh, yeah.
A door slammed. Harry was left staring down at Moody, who placed his staff on the bottommost stair and started to climb laboriously up towards him, a dull clunk on every other step. Close shave, Potter, he muttered. Yeah. Thanks, said Harry weakly. What is this thing? Said Moody, drawing the Marauder's map out of his pocket and unfolding it. Map of Hogwarts, said Harry, hoping Moody was going to pull him out of the staircase soon. His leg was really hurting him. Merlin's beard, Moody whispered, staring at the map, his magical eye going haywire. This is some map, Potter. Yeah, it's quite useful, Harry said. His eyes were starting to water from the pain. Professor Moody, do you think you could help me? What? Oh, yes, of course. Moody took hold of Harry's arms and pulled. Harry's leg came free of the trick step and he climbed onto the one above it. Moody was still gazing at the map. Potter, he said slowly. You didn't happen, by any chance, to see who broke into Snape's office, did you? On this map, I mean? Yeah, I did, Harry admitted. It was Mr. Crouch. Moody's magical eye whizzed over the entire surface of the map. He looked suddenly alarmed. "Crouch," he said. You're sure, Potter?" "Positive," said Harry. "Well, he's not here anymore," said Moody, his eyes whizzing over the map. "Crouch. That's very interesting." He said nothing for almost a minute, still staring at the map. Harry could tell that this news meant something to Moody, and very much wanted to know what it was. He wondered whether he dared ask. Moody scared him slightly, yet Moody had just helped him avoid an awful lot of trouble. Professor Moody, why do you reckon Mr. Crouch wanted to look round Snape's office?" Moody's magical eye left the map and fixed, quivering, upon Harry. It was a penetrating glare, and Harry had the impression that Moody was sizing him up, wondering whether to answer him or not, or how much to tell him. "Put it this way, Potter," Moody muttered finally. "They say old Mad Eye's obsessed with catching dark wizards. But Mad Eye's nothing compared to Barty Crouch." He continued to stare at the map. Harry was burning to know more. "Professor Moody," he said again, "do you think... could this have anything to do with... maybe Mr. Crouch thinks something's going on?" "Like what?" said Moody sharply. Harry wondered how much he'd dare say. He didn't want Moody to guess that he had a source of information outside Hogwarts. That might lead to tricky questions about Sirius. "I don't know," Harry muttered. "Odd stuff's been happening lately, hasn't it? It's been in the Daily Prophet. The Dark Market, the World Cup, and the Death Eaters and everything." Both of Moody's mismatched eyes widened. "You're a sharp boy, Potter," he said. His magical eye roved back to the Marauders map. "Crouch could be thinking along those lines," he said slowly. "Very possible. There have been some funny rumours flying around lately. Helped along by Rita Skeeter, of course. It's making a lot of people nervous, I reckon." A grim smile twisted his lopsided mouth. "Oh, if there's one thing I hate," he muttered, more to himself than Harry, and his magical eye was fixed on the bottom left-hand corner of the map. "It's a Death Eater who walked free." Harry stared at him. Could Moody possibly mean what Harry thought he meant? "And now I want to ask you a question, Potter," said Moody in a more business-like tone. Harry's heart sank. He had thought this was coming. Moody was going to ask where he'd got the map, which was a very dubious magical object, and the story of how it had fallen into his hands incriminated not only him, but his own father, Fred and George Weasley, and Professor Lupin, their last defense against a dark arts teacher. Moody waved the map in front of Harry, who braced himself. "Can I borrow this?"
Moody just kind of stroking his ego there.
Big time.
"I am nothing compared to me. Thank you very much, Mr. Potter."
Also love this little paragraph about Fred, George, Professor Lupin, the map. Like a nice little book 3 reference right there. Another little parallel to book 3 right there. "Oh," said Harry. He was very fond of his map, but on the other hand, he was extremely relieved that Moody wasn't going to ask him where he'd got it, and there was no doubt that he owed Moody a favour. "Yeah, okay." "Good boy," growled Moody. "I can make good use of this. This might be exactly what I've been looking for. Right. Bed, Potter. Come on now." So messed up.
Yeah.
So messed up. They climbed the top of the stairs together, Moody still examining the map as though it was a treasure like which he'd never seen before. They walked in silence to the door of Moody's office, where he stopped and looked up at Harry. "You ever thought of a career as an Auror, Potter?" "No," said Harry, taken aback. "You want to consider it," said Moody, nodding and looking at Harry thoughtfully.
Barty Crouch Jr. inspires his whole career path.
"Yes, indeed. And incidentally, I'm guessing you weren't just taking that egg for a walk tonight. No, said Harry, grinning. I've been working out the clue.
Oh my god, I just realized Death Eaters kind of spurred Harry on throughout the entire story.
Is Barty Crouch actually giving him advice? Or is he mocking him?
Probably a little bit. I mean, yeah, I think he's mocking him, but in the end, it ends up being advice.
It is advice, but do you think you could look at it two ways? Like, he's actually giving him advice, like, yeah, you're pretty good, you're figuring stuff out, or is he mocking him? Because later on, if he says right now, you should be an Auror, and Harry's like, yeah, maybe I should, I'm pretty good at this. And then later, when Harry finds out the real truth, Harry will be like, wow, I'm an idiot. I never even saw this coming. How could I ever be an Auror?
I think that's what he intended, but I'm just saying that
I think
just like Snape inadvertently taught Harry many things, so does Barty Crouch Jr. Harry learns more from the Death Eaters than anyone else.
I think that this kind of shows Barty Crouch Jr.'s true evil, true twistedness, that he's playing this like long con with Harry to like mess with him in that way. You know, you ever think about becoming an Auror? And then once Harry figures it out, just like totally ruins all of that.
Maybe, or maybe he was just trying to get closer to Harry, and, you know, like, you should be an Auror, and then he might start coming into him more and asking questions. He can keep more tabs on Harry. He knows where Harry is, and then when it's time to
get him to Voldemort.
Yeah.
That's true, too.
You know, if the whole cuff didn't work out.
I've been working out the clue. Moody winked at him, his magical eye going haywire again. Nothing like a nighttime stroll to give you ideas, Potter. See you in the morning. He went back into his office, staring down at the Marauder's map again, and closed the door behind him.
Literally telling Harry what he was doing. Nothing like a nighttime stroll. Mm-hmm. Yeah, you were out for a nighttime stroll too, stealing Snape's shit.
You just did a little, midnight shopping.
Ever dance with the devil in the pale moonlight? Yeah, that's what you're doing right now, dude.
Harry walked slowly back to Gryffindor Tower, lost in thought about Snape and Crouch and what it all meant. Why was Crouch pretending to be ill if he could manage to get to Hogwarts when he wanted to? What did he think Snape was concealing in his office? And Moody thought he, Harry, ought to be an Auror. Interesting idea. But as Harry got quietly into his four-poster 10 minutes later, the egg and the cloak now safely back in his trunk, he somehow thought he'd like to check how scarred the rest of them were before he chose it as a career.
Scars. Ha ha, scars. You got one, Harry. You need more? Ha ha, scars. Just.
What's a few more? What?
I just feel like when you go back and you reread this chapter knowing who Moody is, it just has a way different vibe. Yeah, it hits way differently. You're just like, oh my god, you're a sicko. You're such a sicko. Oh my god.
Well, we knew that from the beginning. Barty Crouch Jr. is just weird.
I know, but when you read it, like, man, what a twisted dude. Like, when you read it again, it just hits so just wow.
Right.
He's
too good for Voldemort.
I actually just thought about this.
Go out on his own.
And Katie, you tell me what you think. This whole little, maybe I'm reading too much into stuff, but the whole thing where Snape is like, it's a setup with enchantments that only a wizard could break, and then Dobby ends up breaking it.
Uh-huh.
Is that a parallel to the cave?
Yeah.
It's so a parallel to the cave where Voldemort thinks he's trapped the house elf,
But magic.
but house elf magic has eluded him. I think it's a nice little parallel right there to that exact situation.
It could be another parallel to book 2 too with Dobby.
Yeah, no one realizing his potential and what he's capable of.
Yeah.
Almost killing Harry multiple times.
Almost killing Harry. Almost getting him kicked out of school. Dobby doing Voldemort's work.
I know, right?
I think the only henchman who was almost as successful as Barty Crouch Jr. was Dobby. They both came the closest to killing Harry Potter.
You know what's really funny? In this book, it's Voldemort's most loyal servant who succeeds in his task.
Uh-huh.
And then in book 6, it's the person that Voldemort has set up to fail to be punishment for the Malfoys.
Mm-hmm.
But Draco succeeds at his task.
Yeah, that's true.
It's like bookends of each other.
Yeah.
Dang, it's just a parallel kind of night up in here.
Spend less time licking your lips and more time working on your plans. There you go. Deathly Hallows too. Yep.
I'm trying to think if there are any actual egg references in book 7, because that was mentioned like a while ago. And I don't know if there are. I know Dan said, well, the snitch is basically an egg. A golden
kind of
object with information hidden inside, which is a parallel to 4. But I wonder if there's anything like specifically egg-like that's mentioned. I can't think of anything off the top of my head. But I wonder. I mean, and then the eggs in
I don't know.
The first book, like there's golden stuff inside of the eggs.
I don't remember that one. Golden stuff. What eggs?
Yolks.
Oh.
The Petunia's eggs, where she finds where the letters are hidden.
I thought you were talking about something else.
No,
there
sorry.
was letters in those. That wasn't gold. In book 2, the Malfoys have no idea what Dobby is up to. That's right. Malfoys think, oh, Dobby's just chilling in his... I wonder where they had Dobby live.
I think you're right, Melanie. I think Hermione buys eggs. Yeah, I think you're right, because she leaves him money. I think you're right. So maybe there is a mention of eggs.
Oh, okay, there we go.
But yeah, they have no idea what Dobby is up to. They just think he's, like, putting the laundry away. Oh, no, Dobby's probably not allowed to do laundry, because he would just be like, oh, you've given me a sock, Narcissa.
I thought they did do laundry. They just, like, they wouldn't dare do that. You have to intentionally give them.
I was just kidding.
Okay. No, but I wonder where Dobby slept in the Malfoys. Kreacher's living space was so great.
So sad.
Yeah.
So sad. What if they made Dobby sleep outside with the peacocks?
I mean, I'm sure the peacocks probably had nicer living quarters than Dobby.
Yeah, they probably did. Oh, Dobby
they had a nice little hutch and, some bedding. It's nice. It was cozy.
Oh my god, Dobby probably had to take care of it.
Yeah. Just picturing a peacock just chasing Dobby around, trying to peck him. Put laundry in a laundry basket and not hand it directly.
Maybe the way to do it is to just not touch your laundry at all.
They have to use magic to move it all.
Yeah. Yeah. And then the house elf has to take it and do everything with it so that there's no physical contact between the house elf and the laundry. And you.
I still say that they can do laundry.
Or you
It's
did
just as long
with
as you
your
don't
wand.
intentionally give it to them to, give it to them.
Yeah, that's true. Melanie said you could just do your laundry with your wand. And then, like, leave it, and then they put it away.
Yeah. No, I don't think so, though.
Yeah,
I
but
feel like the Malfoys are more of the people to just, throw their clothes wherever and Dobby.
oh no, they
pick
don't.
it up.
They don't throw them wherever. Narcissa Malfoy would not allow for the clothes to be wherever. They are put in a basket in a very specific place.
Okay, fair. Imagine the Malfoys even putting laundry in a basket. They would think themselves above that. See?
They would probably have like a dumbwaiter or something.
Yeah.
Like something upscale.
Did you ever see that, suction laundry chute
No.
commercial for that? So it's like a laundry chute, but it has suction, so you just, throw your shirt and it kicks on and it'll just suck it in. And then, it goes down to your basement or your laundry room, wherever that may
Right.
be. Wondering if it's something like that.
Maybe.
Magical.
I feel like they have an old manor house. Like, they probably have a dumbwaiter or something like that. Some kind of old-fashioned, fancy thing.
Well, yeah, but I'm wondering if it's, magic-fied.
Probably.
Maybe there's a basket, and when you put your clothes in it, it just teleports it to the laundry room.
And then Dobby just does it.
Yeah. And then he teleports it back.
Yeah, Dobby would just be waiting to do it.
Yeah.
Poor Dobby.
There we go. That's solved.
Alright, now that we know that we've discussed something totally unrelated to this chapter at all. What a good chapter. What a good one. I love this chapter. So why is he crying?
I think he has to go outside. I'll take him outside real quick. I never had a laundry chute, but I wanted one so bad
He's
after
crying.
watching Home Alone. All right, we're going.
Oh my god, he's crying so much. What a devastation. Oh my lord. But yeah, this was all my notes I took all on this chapter. And honestly, if I was less tired, I probably would have taken more notes. But I feel like there was just so much happening in here. I feel like if I thought about it more, I probably could have found more parallels to 5 and 7. But the book 2 parallels just screamed at me. And then the book 3 ones and the book 1 parallels, it just felt like so many of them. But I mean, maybe if I go through and read it again, maybe I'll find more book 7 parallels. I just felt like there was a lot happening that you could call back to the other books with in this chapter. And it just has such a different feel when you read it again, knowing what the mystery is and how ballsy Barty Crouch Jr. is. Like, he's just letting it all hang out and no one has any idea. And he is just ragging on Snape, and Snape has no idea. No one knows what's going on, and he is just blaring it and putting it out there. A lot of nerve. A lot of nerve on Mr. Barty Crouch Jr. here, for sure. But that's really the gist of what I got from this chapter. I don't know if I really have anything else to really say about it. Other than it's a good one, and it's one of my favorites. And it's one of those, like, Snape knows it's Potter, but he can't prove it, and he gets super frustrated. And, it's one of my favorite Snape moments, honestly. I love those moments where he just knows. It's one of those moments where you can just see that the closeness of Harry and Snape is nothing that's voluntary whatsoever, and it's all about how connected they are to each other involuntarily. Snape in a nightgown, what's more to love? Absolutely. Nothing better than that. That's true.
All right. Doggy potty break disaster averted.
But now we're very excited.
Just trying to warm up. It's cold out there.
Is it cold?
Out there in shorts.
Is it cold for the baby? Is it cold for the baby?
So what are we talking about? Like when he's yelling that Harry helps Sirius. Yes. And then he can't prove it. Yes, Ben, we were talking about that earlier and how the conversation would go if Dumbledore ever revealed to Snape what really happened that evening. Well, you see, Harry did it, but I told him to. Why do you hate me, sir? Why?
Oh, wow. Nana.
Yeah, he's gonna get a bath tonight.
Bailey's very...
After we're done with the stream, he's hopping in.
Bailey's very stinky.
He's got that doggy odor.
Oh, even on, like, the parts where he's not normally stinky, he's stinky.
But, laundry shoots was something I wish we had when I was a kid.
Everyone just was talking about Home Alone just before.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So great.
But yeah. It's such a good moment. I don't know. I love the whole I was just saying, I love the whole dynamic between Harry and Snape, how closely connected they are. How they actually know they know each other so well. But the differences that they just can't overcome, the prejudice that they both have towards the other, it'll never bridge, but just
so much like each other. It's almost like maybe James wasn't Harry's father. You never know.
Ben says Bailey is a nice doggo.
Oh, yes, he is. He's the best doggo.
But he is a stinky one. Even if he is nice.
30 minutes from now, that'll be changed.
But I was just saying, like, I don't know if I really have anything else to say.
But no, I feel like most of it we went over in the chapter. Like, you had so many stickies.
I did.
There was a lot of foreshadowing, a lot of ring composition in this.
A lot of pure joy and fun when going back to reread it after knowing what the reveal is. And when you're reading it, knowing what the reveal is, it totally changes the dynamic of the chapter and how, like, this is the chapter where Rowling lays it all out for you. This is it. She
gives you all the answers in one chapter.
But it
doesn't give you them
right.
At the same time.
They're all right there, but they're so well hidden.
She gives you all the answers, but you don't have the questions just yet.
Well, the whole Barty Crouch, but not Junior thing is really the tough part. But it's all right there. And when you go back and you reread it, you're like, oh my God, Rowling put it all right there. It's all out there. But she disguises it so well. Like, it's mastercraft. Yes. It's really great writing.
I was going to say, because I didn't remember if Moody took the map or not. But
Right.
Because I was gonna say, like, did he not check it again and see Barty Crouch again, or was it like, does it show up as Moody when he's using the polyjuice?
Well, that's the point. Is it shows up as Barty Crouch, but it doesn't show.
I didn't know if like he changed back to Barty Crouch Jr. when he looked at the map though, and then later on it would show Moody. But
No, it would
you don't
always.
have to ask those questions because he took the map.
He
so
took the map
is out of play,
and yeah. May I request Snape's grudge for a future chapter?
Well, the one that I like a lot. Yeah.
And Melanie has.
I can't remember exactly what takes place in that chapter. I'm sure you do.
That's the chapter when Snape catches Harry coming back from Hogsmeade. And Malfoy like told on him and said, "I saw Harry's head in Hogsmeade," and then Snape like confronts him.
Oh yeah.
And then like he opens the map and the map insults him.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. And then Melanie also said, and she had previously requested the Gaunt family chapter prior to. So this is the second time Melanie is making this request.
Mm-hmm.
So just want to note that she's requested this before. Any pensive chapter from book 6. Heck yeah, they're all so good. I think my favorite pensive chapters are House of Gaunt, which I've mentioned multiple times. Love that one. And then Lord Voldemort's Request, where he meets up with Dumbledore.
Yeah.
Partly because after like going through that chapter, I like went through that chapter again recently.
Is there a lot of stuff you didn't really catch?
Not that I didn't catch, but like the last time I read Lord Voldemort's Request, like I really, Katie, brace yourself. I really felt for Dumbledore in that chapter. Like a lot.
Seeing his student go down the wrong path and seeing
there's a line
what he's become.
There's a line in that chapter where Dumbledore says something like, "It's long past the time that I could just scold you by setting a cabinet on fire."
Mm-hmm.
Or like set you straight that way. And Dumbledore is like, "But I wish I could." There's just the regret and sadness of Dumbledore, like watching your student progress down this awful road, and you as a teacher knowing like there's nothing you can do about it. Like I just felt Dumbledore's pain there.
Yeah.
Like it really hit me, I think. So I think for that reason, that particular memory chapter is one of my favorites.
Mm-hmm.
And the House of Gaunt, because like Melanie, if we do the House of Gaunt, we're gonna do that. We're gonna do that chapter justice. Or maybe pulling out all kinds of stuff, maybe references from other materials. Like,
I feel like you gotta be in the right mood for that. That's a messed up chapter.
It's a heavy one.
So much. Like Obi-Wan with Darth Vader.
Yes. It kind of is when Obi-Wan is like yelling, like, "You were supposed to be the chosen one. You were supposed to be the dude." In the end, he is the dude, just not in the way they thought he was gonna be.
Yeah.
He balances the Force, just not in the way they thought. Yeah. He has such a weight on his shoulders. Like, I just felt Dumbledore heavy the last time I like really looked at that chapter.
Oh, hope everything's okay, Dan.
Right, Melanie? Obviously, I am not African American, but there's a lot of American poverty, history, prejudice. Oh, there's like all kinds of. When I read the House of Gaunt chapter, there are a lot of things that go through my mind that are specifically American in terms of prejudice, poverty, and other things. Not, again, gonna say, as very obviously not an African American, so I will not ever assume I have that perspective at all. But I get the like more Kentucky Appalachian poverty perspective of it, I guess, if that makes any sense. That's awesome, Dan. I'm happy for you. That's good. I'm glad you're getting in touch with who you need to get in touch with.
Yeah,
that's fantastic. Definitely. Every step is a step in the right direction, for sure. That's why I'm saying, like, if we do House of Gaunt, I gotta do it justice, because there's a lot there. And if
so maybe we should wait to do that one, because next stream is gonna be tomorrow.
Next stream is gonna be tomorrow. So if and when we do House of Gaunt, I think I want.
Maybe you should start working on that now.
Yeah, so I want to take some time and like really research and do that. All right, Melanie gets what I'm saying. Kentucky Appalachian poverty makes sense. Like she understands what I'm trying to say.
But I'm definitely down to do Snape's Grudge.
We're gonna stream tomorrow. We have not determined what time tomorrow, but it won't be in the evening. It'll probably be in the afternoon sometime. So, Katie, you should have no trouble making it. For tomorrow, I'm down to do Snape's Grudge. That's fine. For House of Gaunt, Melanie, I'm thinking, like, I want to do some, like, To Kill a Mockingbird research. I want to look at, like, M. Scott Peck a little bit. I don't know if you know who M. Scott Peck is. Like, there's just a lot there that I could pull from.
Like I said, maybe you should start.
I think I should.
That on the
I think I should. I think I need to get in that a little bit, because I feel like...
You sound like you're very hyped up about doing that chapter.
I feel like I could write a real literary essay analysis on that chapter and back it up with a lot of sources. Like, that chapter, that's why I love that chapter so much. That chapter to me is such a classic literature chapter on so many levels, and it's so relatable. I find it very interesting that it's a very British book, but it's a very American relatable chapter. Even though I'm sure in a lot of ways it's very English relatable too. But there is a lot there that is just very Americana in some very real ways. I just feel like there's so much that I could dissect there that I could actually write a paper on it.
If you want a good book on that, I don't know if I have it out. It's called The Cold Millions.
That's a novel.
Right? Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
I haven't even been able to finish it. I haven't been in the right mind state. It's a very heavy novel. But it goes down the road of like poverty in America and stuff, and how once you're in poverty it's so hard to get out and that sort of thing.
Right, Katie's like, I didn't get any of the American references, which I think would be very interesting. Maybe if we did the House of Gaunt from an American perspective, would be very cool. M. Scott Peck wrote this book called The People of the Lie, which is very interesting.
Yeah, while we're on the topic, I'll plug this book. It's a really good book. Like I said, it's a heavy one. I haven't been in the the right mind state to be able to read it in its entirety. But
either way, we will do House of Gaunt at some point, but I really want to do it justice, and I think I want to actually pull from sources, and I think I wrote some comedy. You did. Melanie, I remember your comments about the House of Gaunt, and I think I responded to them. Like, I think you and I
We
had
can
like
still
a
go
couple
back
of
and look at the comments.
we can look at the comments. But I do remember you had some very insightful, good things to say about that chapter, and I think we like corresponded about the House of Gaunt chapter, like extensively. I remember you had a lot to say about it, and I think I had a lot to say back to you about it. I think it's an overlooked chapter, mainly because it's icky. Like, a lot of people think it's icky, and I think they tend to gloss over it, but I think it's very real.
But I think that's why it's icky.
It's very real, and like, when I read The House of Gaunt, I think of To Kill a Mockingbird, but like, I also think of the color purple. I think of Toni Morrison. I think of Maya Angelou. I think of Appalachia. Like, there's a lot in that chapter. Yeah, it's intense. Well, Katie thinks of that chapter too. When she thinks of book 6, that's the one. I think it's some of Rowling's.
I wouldn't say it's like necessarily my go-to chapter. I can't really remember which chapter is in what book, but it is one of the chapters that really stuck with me, and I remember quite vividly.
It's haunting.
Yeah.
It's sad. It's heavy. I think when people think of like Rowling's best writing, I don't think a lot of them really pick that chapter out. But I do think that chapter is some of Rowling's best writing. Oh yeah, Melanie, immediately, yeah, it's totally Mayella and Bob. Absolutely, it's very close. I mean, Melanie, the parallels get even crazier. How about this? Okay, here's real quick. Okay, Melanie, tell me if you think I'm nuts. In the House of Gaunt, Merope is in love with Tom Riddle, and her dad like really belittles her for it, and her whole family belittles her for it, and it's like a thing. Yeah. In To Kill a Mockingbird, Mayella Ewell has a thing for a dude named Tom Robinson, which is very similar to Tom Riddle. And her whole family, like the whole plot of the crux of the story, erupts around Mayella and Tom Robinson. Do not tell me J.K. Rowling did not read that book, because that is there.
T-Rids and
T-Robs. It's so close. And even it says Mayella watched Tom Robinson out the window of her house every day. We're getting ahead of ourselves, Melanie. We can't talk about this.
I was going to say, are we just going to read this chapter?
No.
What are we doing?
I think To Kill a Mockingbird heavily inspired House of Gaunt. I think there's a lot of To Kill a Mockingbird in that book. I cannot imagine that Rowling did not read that book.
It is one of those, like, just...
We're previewing. We're just previewing. We just chit-chatting. We're
I also think that, number one, To Kill a Mockingbird is just one of that, like, must-reads. At least, you know, for school, like, here. You know,
it's considered American classic literature.
Yeah, it's a necessary read. Yeah. Everyone reads that in school. But I think it also has influenced a lot of stories within the same, like, vein and genre. So I think even if she didn't take it directly from To Kill a Mockingbird, I think if you went down the chain, it would probably be influenced by that somehow.
We always have tangents. I know, Dan. We always do this. All right. No more House of Gaunt talk. We always do this. Every time we talk about this chapter, I go on a thing, and I can't stop because I'm very passionate about that chapter. We will do it, Melanie. You do your research, I'll do my research, and we'll come swinging, and we'll do a thing. But tomorrow, a little lighter. We'll do Snape's Grudge tomorrow.
Oh, we're gonna do it?
Why not?
All right.
Unless I check the comments and we've got like 7 people requesting the same thing. But I haven't checked the comments yet.
All right. I mean, I'm down for Snape's Grudge. And then
it would not be. It's true.
Maybe next stream we'll do House of Gaunt. Because we'll have some time in between.
That's true.
To do all the necessary research.
It's all right. Everyone's responsible for the tangents we go on. It happens.
They're always good tangents.
They are always
That's
good
the important
tangents.
thing.
On that note, though, I think it's about that time.
Yeah, I think so.
So, we will announce what time we're streaming tomorrow. I'm not 100% sure what time we want to start.
I mean, we have a few things. I'll post it tomorrow morning because I think we'll have a better idea.
All right.
Then the time. But yeah, it will be sometime in the afternoon.
Sometime tomorrow afternoon, we will stream.
I mean, what we usually do around 2 or 3. It's probably going to be around there.
Right.
Just whether it's 2 or 3, we're not 100% sure yet.
Right. So y'all know, be free around 2 or 3 Eastern time, and check the YouTube, check your notifications, like, subscribe, blah 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 blah.
And until then, have a fantastic night and enjoy your day tomorrow. We'll see you then.
See you tomorrow, everybody.